let's talk about for loops. For loops are used in almost every programming language. And loops, the idea behind loops is that if you want to repeat something again and again, let's say you want to print something 100 times, right? You don't want to type in the print statement 100 times. You need something that repeats over that print statement, right? And then does that operation any number of times you want, right? So it's where repetition or iterations come in, where you would see for loops. And before looking at the for loops, at the for loop in Python, let's quickly look at the range function, because it's used a lot when we look at loops. It's a very important function in Python. So if you want to, let's say, print a sequence of numbers in Python, you can use the range function. So if you, let's say, type in just range, right, 0 to 10, right, it's gonna create an object with integers from 0 to 10, but it's not gonna, you'll see it's not gonna print out those numbers. So you need to use the list function. You put this range function within that list, within a list function, right? So again, lists, you can also create list by using the list function, or by typing in the numbers within a square bracket, same thing. So in this case, if you want to convert this, so typically if you have a sequence of numbers that you want to convert to a list, you would use the list function. So if you put this range function within the list function, you get a list of those numbers. And notice that again, Python typically never goes to this last number that you type in. So it goes from 0 to 9, not 0 to 10, right? And so if you want to go from 0 to 10, but you want to skip 2 numbers, so you would type in a 2 over here, right, comma 2. So this is the step that you want to take. By default, the step is 1, and so you go from 0 to 8. Again, you never go to 10, right? So it would go from 0 to 8, and if you type in 3, you go from 0. It takes a step of 3, starting from 0, and then goes up till 9. And you can go on, type in any sequence of numbers, and then we're gonna then use this over in a for loop. Okay, so let's see how a for loop works. The format of a for loop. Right. So the syntax is the following. So you type in for and then the variable name, right? And so you don't really need to use. Sometimes you don't use the loop variable. Typically, you would do something within the loop that such that you need that variable, right? But you don't really need to use that loop variable within that block. So the for variable in, so in is part of the syntax, and then you type in a list over here. So you're gonna type a list by hand, but typically we use the range function. Most of the cases we use the range function, and then the list follows by a colon, and then the block, the indentation block. Okay, so here's a simple example. You're just printing numbers from 1 to 5, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the syntax is again for, and then you use the loop variable, and then in, and then you type in the list, right? So in this case, the list has been typed by hand, but if you want to use the range function, you can use range 1, 6, right? So it goes from 1 to 5. The range function would go from 1 to 5. So so then the output of this this program is this just each number on a new line. And so Python just knows that it has to iterate over the list. If there's an iterable quantity, Python is going to iterate over each element of that quantity. Can be a string, can be a list, or a tuple. So for num, so the variable num takes in first the value of 1, and then 2, and so on, right? And then it prints out each number in that particular iteration. Here's another example. So in this example, you're printing out the number and its square. So these are just print statements that you're gonna. So you're setting up like a table, right? This is /t is a tab, so it's gonna print out a number and then a tab space and then the word square. They're just typing in a separator over here. So this is the loop, right? So again, the variable is number, and then the range. So this goes from 1 to 10, right? 11. It never goes to 11, as I said. So then you're just defining a square over here, and then printing the number and the tab space and the square of that number. So if you want, you can also change this to just print out odd numbers by taking a step of 2. So it starts with 1 and then goes to 3, 5, 7. That you can modify, type in this program and modify it if you like. So the output of this program is just a sequence of numbers from 1 to 10, and then tab space between them, and then this column is just a square.